Hey guys, I want to tell you about your Silk Road travel project. So I'm sorry I can't be here today. I have to do some last minute dissertation data collection, which is infinitely less fun than being with you guys. So know that I miss you and I wish I could be there. Especially because the Mongols are cool. Speaking of the Mongols, you guys are learning about the Silk Road, and so your project for this unit will be a little bit different than your project last time. This time you guys are making a travel log. If you go onto Google Classroom, you'll see these directions. So you will be creating a travel diary of your character's assigned journey on the Silk Road. Every group will have an assigned character, and each character has its own unique story specific to their who they are. So they may be from Italy, they may be from China, they may be from Greece, they may be from a lot of different places. And so as they go through and make this journey, you guys are writing about what that would be like. So your travel journal will describe who you are, your culture, and have a couple paragraphs. All this should be in the first person because you're writing this as though it were you. You guys will include a map that marks the route of the journey, which you may need to hand create. However, a lot of you guys are fairly gifted with computers, so you may be able to do that. And I can show you how to do that on Google My Maps at a later date. You'll need to include a primary source related to your traveler. So it could be something that person specifically wrote, something from this time period about a place or a person that you visit, or something that you've traded. It could be a bunch of different things. And so this will be different for each traveler. Some of them are more famous, such as Marco Polo's father, and some of them are a little more obscure, like Ashide Lushan, who is a Sogdian woman. So you guys can use parts of the document. You don't need to include an entire book or anything. But you would want to explain with all the components of Happy. Each character has its own story and it has a few stops. And so we're looking for you guys to describe the stops on the story that make it significant. This will describe your method of travel. You'll need to describe any goods you are trading or purchasing. You'll need to describe the cultures, religions, goods purchasing, trading in a location, empires or kingdoms, geography, etc. for each place that this character passes through or stays in. This will be about a paragraph for each area, city, geographical region, and these are different for each group, so it's hard for me to give you a specific example. Should also include 2 images or illustrations for each area you stay at and an image for your method of transportation. Let's say that you use a camel caravan for half of your journey. You don't need to include 7 pictures of a camel caravan. You can just do that you can just do a different picture instead that's related to the location. So if you're on a camel caravan for half of your journey, you can instead put perhaps something that you traded rather than that picture. At the end, you'll summarize your thoughts and experiences about your journey, and then you'll include a works cited page. That means all sources must be cited. You need at least 5. You can do this assignment a few different ways. You can do a Prezi, you can do a website, you could do a blog. You could make this by hand and have it be a stand-up sort of as though you were at the science fair. You could have it be a book. You could have it be a giant map with different things pasted to it. However you guys want to do it, we're not looking for a Google Slides or Google Docs. It's kind of boring. We're looking for a more creative presentation than that because you're going to be evaluating your fellow classmates on their work. So you don't want to bore your classmates. You don't want to bore me or Mr. Kid. So let's try and make this as exciting as possible. You want to do good writing. Writing mechanics should count. With that said, it's not going to be the bulk and weight of the idea, but you guys should try and proofread your own or each other's work. You should write in first person and be descriptive and emotive. If your character goes through a difficult situation, I should be able to tell that by the way you're writing. It shouldn't just be like, oh, and then some people died. Boo. So make it exciting, make it interesting, make it funny, make it real for us. And I went through and I wrote a few of these summaries myself, and these are some pretty exciting people. I nerded out pretty heavily on this, so I'm pretty sure you guys can too. Try and be as accurate as possible for the time period. And keep in mind, who are you? Why are you traveling? Where are you from? And how does that impact your view of the world? What's your religion? What's your age and gender? So somebody who's a little older and crustier may have a different view than somebody who's a little younger. Likewise, if you're a woman traveling during this time period, you might encounter significant barriers that a man may not. Or you may encounter some ways that you can travel undetected that men can't. So you will also evaluate peer projects, so remember to keep that exciting. There is a rubric attached here, and it goes through all the points that we discussed in this video. So how do you figure out who your person is? Well, I've posted within Google Classroom. You've got your project groups here. So let's say that you are Henry, Lisa, Kate, and Justin, and you have Nicolo Polo. This is the father of Marco Polo. Be careful with Nicolo Polo. He is not, you don't want to spend too much time on his son. You'll click on your Silk Road Traveler, and here you have a lovely summary. And so this goes for anyone. It doesn't just have to be for Nicolo Polo. So what you'll do is go through, read through your summary, and your summary walks you through the most important stops. It walks you through important people, Hulagu, who you guys should read about today in your web quest. Bukhara is going to be an important city that you visit. And so what you guys, as you guys go through and read this, it'll give you some notes. So keep in mind that Nicolo Polo does take a journey with Marco. We're not talking about that. There's entirely too much stuff about Marco Polo. You will be exhausted. Also, there's a lot of sources about Marco Polo out there. They're not really acceptable sources of information for this project. You may want to look into what sources they used, but I don't want you guys just sitting there playing video games and using that as your source, because a lot of times that's dramatized. So all these websites will include information on all of the people, and you can see that with any Silk Road traveler. You'll see this with Wang Jian. So again, it has a summary. It has information about the Silk Road, about your specific traveler, and then they all have some general resources about the Silk Road that should help you. You're not limited to those resources. You can use whatever resources you want. With that said, you will need to cite everything you use. If you guys have any further questions, I will be back tomorrow, and I will be back for all of next week, so I'm happy to help. So this is due on November 13th at 8 a.m., and so you guys will turn that in, and then we'll spend that day kind of going through and having a little travel salon where we have everybody go around and take a look at everybody's projects and learn what we can about what's common across the Silk Road, what may be different for a European than a Chinese person, than a Sogdian. And so look at all the different elements going through on the Silk Road and how that worked. As a group, you guys are responsible for deciding how you work together. There will be, at the end of this unit, or at the end of this project, an opportunity to evaluate your group members. Please make sure that you are contributing equitably and fairly. You don't want to dominate. You also don't want to not do much. So try and find a way that you can make this work within your groups. I might suggest that you guys today read through with the different stories, maybe decide on who wants to take what part, but make sure that you guys are all aware of the whole project. If you have everybody just broken into different chunks and it all looks kind of weird and disjointed at the end, it's probably not going to be a very good project. So you want to read through the summary together and then decide that as a group. If you guys have questions, you can also email me at lafisher1@fcps.edu. Bucci, I hope you enjoyed this fabulous addition to my new YouTube channel. Have a lovely Thursday, and I will see you guys back tomorrow.